All right, I just want to show some of the Back to the Future Super Bowl 50 coding a little bit more that I noticed. Um, and I was, like I said in my previous videos, I was wrong about picking the Chiefs. But the reason that I picked the Chiefs was because of Back to the Future. I honestly didn't even realize that the Panthers had the same record as the 1985 Bears at the time. None of that. I picked it only because the Royals were coded to Back to the Future as well, and they won the World Series this year. They also won the World Series the same day that Back to the Future ends in 1985, October 27th. And then I thought, if they're going to code it to that, then I looked at the 1986 Super Bowl, and it was the Chicago Bears who had won it. So that's the only reason why I noticed that. Just wanted to point that out. And then, the reason I chose the Chiefs was because I noticed that Jamal Charles got hurt when they play the Chicago Bears this year. And there's just lots of 46 coding to the Chiefs and whatnot. There was lots of Super Bowl 50 coding to the Chiefs. So, but anyway, Jamal Charles got hurt in week 5, which adds up to 86 against the Bears. An 86 reference. Jamal Charles even adds up to 41. Super Bowl adds up to 41. And I thought maybe he was a sacrifice for the Chiefs. That way they would have to use their defense to win the Super Bowl just like the 86 Bears. I mean, it all made sense. I was on the right track, but I was just a little bit off. But anyway, I talked about in Back to the Future 3, because Back to the Future 2 is when they say the Cubs are going to win, but then I said the Royals were going to win because of the Pope Francis stuff and whatever. But at the end of Back to the Future 2, so we're out of 2015, so the end of that movie, they go back to 1885. So I assumed that they moved on to Back to the Future Part 3 in this coding, which took place in 1885, which is 131 years ago. Doc Brown goes on January 1st, so it is 131 years ago. They even used Train 131 to push the DeLorean to get Marty back to 1985, the day that the Royals won the World Series. Even on his truck, he has KC on the grill. There was KC Daylighters or something like that on the front of Marty's truck, so interesting. But also, Super Bowl equals 131, and so on. So, I guess I talk about the Bears stuff again here. A lot of the 46 stuff, I'm not really going to mention that. I just want to move on to a few of the Back to the Future things. So, even Marty McFly adds up to 46, just like Chicago, just like Levi's Stadium. It's just craziness. But anyway, some of the extra things I noticed about Back to the Future 3, when Marty's in 1955 and then he goes back to 1885, he has to park the DeLorean in the cave, and then it's leaking gas, and then the bear chases him out, and he throws his boots at the bear. I mean, just interesting. The movie actually involves a bear scene. We've talked about the Chicago Bears and whatnot. Even on the little Wikipedia thing here, it says, this article is about the animal. You may be looking for the Chicago Bears. I mean, it's just strange, but anyway, boots in Gematria adds up to 71, just like Super Bowl 50. Could be a stretch. Just interesting, there's a bear scene in the movie. Also, Marty pretends to be Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood, born in San Francisco, where the Super Bowl is going to be. Age 85. Lots of 85 and 58 coding. I've talked about it with Earthquake, but also a reference to the 85 Chicago Bears. Also, he is born on the 151st day of the year. I've just been seeing that number a whole bunch lately. I think Denver Broncos, the big way, adds up to 151. Valentine's Day, Jesus Christ. There's a lot of stuff dealing with earthquakes with 151. Also, Abraham Lincoln, the anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's death this year on April 15th. It will be 151 years. It's actually Denver, Colorado adds up to 151, not Denver Broncos. But some of the other ones here were Ben Franklin Bridge. I talked a lot about that. Something to do with the earthquake, maybe knocking that over. Also, if you write out 9th president to die in office, it equals 151. Obama will be the 9th president to die in office if he does die in office. But I talked about Coldplay at the Super Bowl, and they just had this album, A Head Full of Dreams, that adds up to 151. It's even a minute 51 in length. And it has Obama singing Amazing Grace at Clementa Pinckney's funeral on the track called Kaleidoscope. And the track was a minute 51. That track was. But interesting, 9 people died at the Charleston shooting here, and then Obama sang Amazing Grace 9 days later. Abraham Lincoln got shot and died 9 hours and 9 minutes later. And I mean, just think about it, a head full of dreams, right? I mean, Martin Luther King had a dream, and look what happened to him. So anyway, moving on here, Clint Eastwood also, he's only in one movie in 1985, and it's called Pale Rider. Just makes me think of the White Horse. I mean, the White Horse of Revelation or whatever, but also the White Horse, the Bronco, the White Bronco. We also, another one that really stuck out to me, I talked about the coding with Batman and whatnot. Marty McFly's mom in this movie, Leah Thompson, but on the movie, her real name is Lorraine Baines McFly. So before she marries George McFly, she's Lorraine Baines. And I mean, interesting too, she's born the same day as Clint Eastwood, May 31st. They're both born on May 31st, the 151st day. I forgot to point out, the Panthers finished the regular season 15-1, just like the 85 Chicago Bears. I've also talked a lot about this number 152. I haven't been talking about it, but I've been noticing it a lot lately. And in 2016, May 31st would be the 152nd day of the year. Levi's Stadium equals 152. The Patriots' final drive against the Broncos was with a minute 52 in the fourth. And I wish I would have wrote them down. There's been a lot of 152. I just didn't know the significance of it, and I didn't write it down. I feel like it had something to do with August 1st, which maybe it was from the Patriots-Broncos game because, Manning is number 18. August 1st can be written as 8/1 or 1/8. And then he threw the 2 touchdown passes to number 81. It might have had something to do with that. I mean, but there was other ones too, but just pointing that out really quick in case anybody's looking and they start seeing 152 all over. But also in regards to Back to the Future, we had this article, Ron Rivera bans hoverboards inside Panthers facility. So, I mean, just kind of strange. And the article even talks about Cam Newton's car wreck that happened on December 9th of 2014. Just makes me wonder, I've talked about Cam Newton, and the word Newton adds up to 91, which is a number I've just seen a lot with elimination. Chicago Cubs equals 91. Pearson L. of Nebraska, who got hurt, his name adds up to 91. Cameron Wake of the Miami Dolphins, number 91, tore his Achilles this year. The Roseburg shooting happened with 91 days left until the end of the year. It was Jimmy Carter's 91st birthday. There's just been lots of bad things dealing with 91. It's a pretty loose connection because it's only his last name that adds up to 91. But I just wanted to throw it out there that, the Pro Bowl is on January 31st. And, I mean, who knows if he'll even play. He made the Pro Bowl. And he was born on the 131st day of the year, so who knows? I just thought maybe he might play and get hurt, or maybe in the Super Bowl, maybe he's going to get hurt and go out. But it doesn't necessarily mean they would lose, because if they're coded to the Chicago Bears as much as they are, then they would win with their defense, just like the Bears. But who really knows? Just wanted to put that out there. Also, the Panthers play in Charlotte, North Carolina. Earlier in 2015, I talked a lot about Michael Jordan and the 52 coding. And we had Princess Charlotte, who was born on May 2nd, which is 5-2, like 52. But it was also connected to Michael Jordan, who is 52 years old, who owns the Charlotte Hornets. Even May 2nd is the 122nd day in a normal year. 122, San Francisco adds up to 122. Even a Black Panther Party adds up to 122. There's a lot to do with American Pharaoh as well, with 122 and 52, or just 52 with American Pharaoh. who won the Triple Crown. You know, just a horse reference. Maybe has something to do with the Broncos. Need to look a little bit more into that as well. Interesting though, there's this rapper on my Facebook feed all the time. He's from Chicago and his name's DeLorean. So I don't know how famous he is or whatever, but if you look right here, it even says he has like over 3 million likes. So he must be somewhat famous. Just interesting, he's from Chicago and his name's DeLorean. But yeah, just like I said, we just wanted to throw in a few more Back to the Future things I noticed. This lady's even in Howard the Duck, which I've talked about previously with Chip Kelly and whatnot. So very interesting. Chip Kelly's even the new coach of the 49ers. But yeah, gonna leave it at that. And I got a whole bunch of other videos that I want to make here, so I guess see ya in the next video. Have a good one.